I'm Heather Smith, and I was one of the original story writers on Silent Retreat.
I'm Taryn Stenberg, and I was also one of the original story writers for Silent Retreat.
How did Silent Retreat begin?
Silent Retreat really began with a conversation between the two of us about what were the scariest things that we found in horror movies.
Yeah, which we decided was little kids and crazy people. They're really creepy. So we kind of worked from there.
What compelled you guys want to collaborate together on this film?
We went to the same high school, and we were both within a year of each other in theater, and the senior project
was to write your own
show, and we had seen each other's, and she had asked me to give her notes on hers, and so we just kind of talked about it and ended up discovering that we both really enjoyed writing and that we had a good collaboration energy.
Yeah.
And so we just kind of kept going from there.
How did you meet director Ace Jordan?
I met him actually back when I was in college, probably like my second year maybe, and we just kind of hit it off. We became really good friends. During that time in my life, I had very few friends when I first went off to college, and I remember us sitting out at Olive Garden one time, and I'm telling him about this story, and he was, kind of like, oh, I want to start making movies, and I showed it to him, and then it started becoming, eventually Silent Retreat.
How did you create the characters?
Part of it was finding all the right personality types to kind of come together to create a story. You want interesting characters, and so we were looking for, Teddy became the comedic relief, and you get Lyra for the sex appeal, you get, Dale as like the leader and things like that. So I feel like we're trying to find that right mix.
Mm-hmm. And basing it just on the wide scope of friends that we had and the different types of personalities that we had. Not to say that any of the characters are based on our friends, but you end up meeting a lot of different people and just,
Do you think that Silent Retreat is a true horror film, and why?
Yeah, I feel like it has all the markers of a true horror film. It's scary, it's got the jumps, it's got the red herrings, it's got the blood and the gore and the
creepy factor, little kids in mirrors and tinkling boxes with
body
tongues.
mutilation.
Favorite horror film?
One of the first ones I ever saw in the theater when I was really young was Michael J. Fox's The Frighteners. So that was a pretty formative experience.
We're both the suckers. Like, we like ones that do have some comedy to them. Like Scream or like Cabin in the Woods.
Oh my gosh, yes.
I mean, Shaun of the Dead is a kind of more of a comedy than a horror movie, but like we enjoy that a lot. And then creepy stuff. I actually really enjoyed some of the Paranormal Activities and things like that because I like subtle. It's really nice when you can get scared by something simple like a door slamming or something like that.
What's the key differences between Shattered and then Silent Retreat?
The biggest difference between Shattered and Silent Retreat is that in Shattered, the original story, Megan was not a corporeal character. She was actually just one of Zachary's personalities.
Yeah, he actually had 4 personalities in our original one. So we only saw Ned and Zach, of course, in the movie, but Megan was supposed to be kind of the goodness in him, all of that kind of stuff, which he was in love with even when it was still kind of him. It was the part of himself that he was in love with. And then there was actually another character, Stanny, who was kind of his, the part of him that had given up.
And then who's your favorite character?
Teddy.
Yeah, we loved Teddy. Yeah. He was the most fun to write. He's the funny character in there. Although I feel like we loved a lot of our characters, but I think that's the one we fell in love with.
Mm-hmm.
Is Zach the hero or the villain?
Zach being the hero or the villain, I think really depends on who you ask. I feel like if you ask Zach, then he's the hero, and if you ask Ned, he's the hero as well because he's protecting Ned. But if you were to ask like Rita or Lyra, if he's the hero, I don't think I'd get a resounding yes from either one of them.
Yeah, it's kind of the idea, the villain doesn't think that he's the villain, he's the hero in his own mind, and Zach does have, a moral compass and things like that. He's protecting Ned. Mm-hmm. I mean, especially as far as he's concerned, and he is getting rid of people that are liars and things like that. Like, he doesn't just kill at random. He is picking those victims for a reason.
Who is the real villain in Silent Retreat?
The real villain, I mean, especially after seeing the movie, I mean, you start seeing the caretaker who was in an early draft of what we were writing, and then he actually got cut, and so he's back for the film, and I think he definitely takes on that role. He's a little less redeemable.
Yeah, he does a lot of
Zack.
deplorable things to Zack.
Why do you think Zack and Megan are attracted to each other?
Well, I feel like Megan is so good, which is something that I think Zack is very attracted to. I mean, he's obviously had a lot of pain in his life, and so Megan being such a source of peace for him almost, and I think that's why he loves her so much.
What's your favorite scene?
My favorite scene would actually have to be when Zack and Joel are
bear
fighting
trap.
in the bear trap, and just
That moment threw us because we were expecting him to just like roll into the bear trap, and then it was like that pause, and then boom, we were like, oh!
Screaming.
That was a good one.
That's probably, I think that's the scene that springs to mind, no pun intended.
Could you see a sequel to Silent Retreat?
I feel like it might lend itself more to another story within the same universe, maybe like a prequel. I'm not sure about a
or
sequel.
prequel, what happened to the asylum or something, I don't know.
Yeah.
There are talks about a prequel to Silent Retreat.
I feel like that might be where your story is.
So what is the moral of the story to you?
Take your medication.